If you were involved in the competitive gaming sphere in the mid-2000s, you might be familiar with Veni Vidi Vici, otherwise known as Team VVV. Team VVV was created by a man who goes by the name of Alan Boiston, and while the Team VVV of today is exclusively an online media outlet, in the mid-2000s, Team VVV was most well known for its dominance in the competitive gaming sphere, with a primary focus on racing games such as Project Gotham Racing 3 and Forza Motorsport 2. It should be noted that back in the mid-2000s, Team VVV posted articles and videos like they do today, but back in those days, their presence in the competitive gaming scene was what they were largely known for. Nowadays, Team VVV's esports teams have long been in the grave, but they didn't go to the grave without leaving their mark in the world of competitive gaming. Team VVV was notable in all games they touched, but racing games were, by far, where Team VVV shined the brightest. However, they extended beyond just racing games, as they also dabbled in Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, Gears of War, Halo 3, as well as other titles. Back in the day, if you got queued up with a Team VVV member in PGR3 or Forza Motorsport 2, or any other game they touched for that matter, you knew you were about to get completely mobbed. At the time, Team VVV was the home to many household names in the competitive gaming sphere, with David Kelly, otherwise known as Daveyskills, arguably holding the most notability among them all. In the present day, Dave is a father and has stepped away from competitive gaming, but from around 2006 until as recently as 2022, he consistently showed up as a top competitor in every racing game he touched. Whether it was the Project Gotham Racing series, the Forza Motorsport series, Assetto Corsa Competizione, or iRacing, David Kelly proved himself as a player not to be taken lightly. Most notably, in 2008, Daveyskills, alongside Dean Sutton, otherwise known as Pacino, secured the top spot in the 2008 Championship Gaming Series, which took place in Forza Motorsport 2, and they both walked away with a whopping $62,500 in their pockets. While that is not much compared to the millions modern-day Fortnite players earn, at the time, this was an unfathomable amount of money, especially for a racing game competition, as racing esports have always lacked the mainstream appeal and funding of more popular genres, such as first-person shooters and fighting games. Adjusted for inflation, the $62,500 Dave and Pacino each walked away with is now worth $94,514.14, which, while not on the level of the $3 million Booga won from the 2019 Fortnite World Cup Championship, $94,514.14 is still a lot of money. It should be noted that Dave had left Team VVV and was a part of Birmingham Salvo when he competed in CGS 2008, but given the kind of money current and ex-members of Team VVV were bringing in at the time, it's without surprise that Team VVV quickly rose through the ranks as one of the top esports teams of the mid-2000s, which makes Team VVV's departure from the world of competitive gaming all the more saddening. However, as saddening as it is, from a business perspective, it's completely understandable why Team VVV pulled out of the esports arena. Unfortunately, unless you're among the top 0.0001% of competitors, you aren't going to earn very much from competing. As a personal anecdote, I've competed in esports events in the Forza Motorsport series since 2018, and in the last 6 years, I've earned $600 from the various competitions I've been a part of. While that's nothing to scoff at, $600 over 6 years comes out to $100 a year, which is obviously nowhere near enough to survive on. Admittedly, I've been a step below the very best players for quite some time now, which has limited my earning potential, but even those who are among the best can't compete as their sole source of income. Even though the Forza esports scene is significantly larger today than it was in 2008, no singular player has won as much money as Davey and Pacino did when they walked away with $62,500 from the 2008 Championship Gaming Series 16 years ago. Tangent aside, on the other hand, if you aren't a competitor but rather someone who's on the business and logistics side of esports, you're more than likely not earning anything at all and just losing money. Between paying players, funding merchandise, as well as covering other expenses such as travel and whatnot, it comes without surprise that a large number of esports teams don't last very long. The departure of these teams hurts a lot, and it especially hurts when it's a team with a rich history of prowess in whatever game they touch, like that of Team VVV. As previously mentioned, outside of racing games, Team VVV was involved in games such as Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, Gears of War, and Halo 3. While Team VVV was primarily dominant in racing games, they were also respectable in the aforementioned titles. Team VVV and its associated players were bringing in a lot of money during their peak in the mid to late 2000s, and it seemed as though this would continue forever. The unfortunate reality, however, is that all good things eventually come to an end, and Team VVV wasn't an exception to the standard. While conducting the research for this video, I noticed a common and unfortunate trend that Team VVV suffered from, and this trend was that Team VVV appeared to be constantly gaining and losing players. Team VVV's 2008 player roster is almost unrecognizable from their 2007 player roster, and this begs the question, why? Well, unfortunately, this is a question only answerable by the players themselves, and given this was over 15 years ago and a lot of the players within Team VVV have seemingly vanished from the face of the planet, I can only speculate the answer to this question based on my personal experiences within the competitive gaming field. When a player leaves a team for another team, leaves a team to go independent, or leaves a team and disappears from the scene, there are a multitude of reasons behind these decisions. In the first instance, and the instance most applicable to Team VVV, a player will leave one team for another team because they either don't mesh with the team's culture, they want to join a team with better players so they can learn from said players and improve their skill within their game of choice, they want to join a less serious team and chill with friends, or they join a team backed by an organization that offers a salary and access to exclusive competitions open only to those within the teams of those high-status organizations. Of the reasons mentioned, I think the reason Team VVV saw so many players join and leave was not the result of one singular reason, but rather a mixture of many different reasons. Some players left because they didn't mesh, some players left because they wanted to push themselves by joining a team with better players, some players left because they wanted to take things less seriously, and some players left because they were approached by an elite organization like Birmingham Salvo. In the beginning, Team VVV allowed a lot of people into the team, and by accepting a lot of players, it meant that there would be a lot of departures when those players eventually decided to move on. Some players decided to leave Team VV to go independent, and this decision is usually a result of not wanting to deal with the stress, pressure, and expectations of operating within a team environment. Some players also left and disappeared from the scene, and this is because they likely had real-life circumstances that took priority, or they simply lost interest in the game they played and decided to pursue other things. In my personal experience within the competitive gaming field over the last 8 years, I've seen a lot of players come and go, and this is simply something that comes with the territory. As previously mentioned, unless you're among the top 0.0001% of competitors, you aren't going to earn very much from competing, and it's hard to justify pouring countless hours into being a top player at a game when you'll likely only earn a few $100s from your efforts, if that even. I played Forza like it was my religion for 5 years before I earned even a single penny, and I stuck with it because I'm a Forza fanatic and love the series, even with all its issues. Most people aren't enthralled by a game as much as I and a select few others are, so when they get into a game and aren't immediately good or real-life circumstances come up that prevent them from playing, they're able to effortlessly move on as they have little to no attachment to the game. A commonality within competitive gaming is that a lot of players started playing their game of choice when they were young children, and it was just something they did to unwind and have fun after a day of school. As these children get older and have poured hundreds or thousands of hours into their favorite game, they long to get more out of it, so they discover the game's competitive scene and eventually go on to become among the best players in said game. This isn't always the case, but it's a very common occurrence, and this is how many members within Team VVV started. This deep-rooted passion is why so many players who were a part of Team VVV went on to earn thousands from their efforts within competitive gaming. Some of the most notable players who were once a part of Team VVV include Daveyskills, Miximup, NeoJake, Rumsey, South, and Pacino. Daveyskills, Miximup, and NeoJake were a part of Team VVV's racing game roster, while Rumsey, South, and Pacino were a part of Team VVV's first-person shooter roster. Putting the focus on Davey, he started his professional esports career by earning $7,000 after finishing as a part of the 4th place team in the 2007 Championship Gaming Series. Then, in 2008, he reached the pinnacle of his esports career and earned $62,500 from his dominance in CGS 2008. Cumulatively, Davey has earned over $100,000 from the various competitions he competed in between 2007 and 2019, which, by far, far makes him the most successful player to come out of Team VVV. However, this doesn't mean the players I previously mentioned should be scoffed at. Alongside Daveyskills, NeoJake also competed in CGS 2007, where he was Davey's teammate, and the two competed under Birmingham Salvo. Like Davey, NeoJake also earned $7,000, but unlike Davey, after CGS 2007, this would be NeoJake's first and last professional competition, seemingly never to be heard from again. Miximup was another notable player to come out of Team VVV, where he went on to earn $15,000 from finishing as a part of the second place team in CGS 2008, alongside his teammate Sakamanjaro. Like NeoJake, this would be Miximup's first and last professional competition, seemingly never to be heard from again after the events of CGS 2008 concluded. Taking a look at the players to come out of Team VVV's first-person shooter roster, Pacino was the standout player. Pacino started his professional esports career in 2010, where he earned $98.01 after finishing as a part of the fourth-place team in the 2010 Liverpool European Console League 1. This competition took place within Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, with Team Fnatic ultimately reigning victorious. Pacino competed under Power Gaming, with his teammates being Swanee, U4EA, and former Team VVV member South. Like Pacino, South also earned $98.01, but South started his professional esports career 2 years prior in 2008. Before 2010, South earned $694.05 from a couple of the pro leagues he was a part of in 2008, with the pinnacle of his career being the $495.75 he earned from a 5v5 match in Matchbox 360 XL4, which took place in Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. After South earned $98.01 from the 2010 European Console League, he, like NeoJake and Miximup, seemingly vanished from the face of the planet. Pacino also had the same fate, where, after reaching the height of his esports career in 2011 and earning a very respectable $25,000 from finishing as a member of the fourth-place team in a tournament called Call of Duty XP, he seemingly left esports behind and disappeared from the scene forever. Surely Rumsey wouldn't go down the same path, but unfortunately, his fate was the same as NeoJake's, Miximup, South's, and Pacino's. After earning $495.75 and finishing as a member of the first-place team, IDXL Gaming, in Matchbox 360 XL4, Rumsey never again competed professionally. Of the players I have mentioned in this video, Daveyskills had the longest-running esports career of all the players to come out of Team VVV, having actively competed until as recently as 2022. However, now that Davey is a father and has a child to look after, it's understandable that he has put his esports career behind him. Competing at a high level in any game demands an insane amount of time and effort, and when having a young one to care for, putting your esports journey to an end makes sense. Not to mention, Davey had been competing for over 15 years, and after a decade and a half of actively competing, it's no surprise that he'd want to move on and put esports behind him. Many legends within the competitive gaming community built their foundation and spent their formative years as a part of Team VVV, and it makes me wonder how things would look for these players had Team VVV never existed. While I like to imagine that they still would have gone on to become the legends they are, there's no way of truly knowing. With all that said, this has been a look into Team VVV and some of the players who went on to become household names within their respective games. Thank you for watching.